Some of the things that you will learn today would be building a brand that opens doors, positioning for influence and client attraction, avoiding common mistakes, leveraging digital platforms. But let's start with this personal branding. Or before, I like to break the terms into two words, right? There's personal, there's branding. I'll start with branding. Branding is very simple. You know how that you see someone and then you begin to have internal connection, discussions about those people that you have seen, right? You see them and you feel like this guy or this lady is this guy or this lady is that. That happens to everybody. So the truth is, everybody has a brand, right? I know you would have heard this 1,000 times. Everybody has a brand. There is a perception that everybody has in the minds of any other person that they come in touch with. And that will be as a result of several factors, places that those people have been, the experiences that they've had with this person or people that are similar to this person, right? And this forms an opinion. But the truth is, sometimes this perception and this opinion that has been developed might not be in line with what you desire or who you are. Have you ever seen somebody and you look at the person and you think like, this guy is a thief? That happens sometimes, somebody says this guy is a thief. And most times it might be that the person has experienced someone who was a thief that has the same, maybe something as simple as energy or resemblance with this person, and then you assume that this person is a thief. So that is why branding is important, right? Branding is the act of engineering an intentional perception about yourself. So I say perception because I don't just want to use the word feeling, about yourself, so that it meets the objective for which you are building that perception. So, for example, if I want to be seen as holy, I can then shape the perception through a series of activities that makes people see or believe that I am holy. Take, for instance, have you ever seen this thing? Like, I'm a Christian, I'm a believer, right? I have strong values that guide my life. Now, here's the thing. If you live your life in a certain way, that means you are perceived to be godlike or Christ-like. People start to call you pastor, right? So it means that if you behave Christ-like, pastor is a brand that has been created and the perception or expectation of it is that you should be Christ-like. So anytime you begin to act in that way, people see you as a pastor. What if I am actually a pastor, or I'm a pastor, but I'm acting contrary to being Christ-like? You see, it causes a distortion. So one of the simplest explanation or definition of what a brand is that I would give you is that a brand is a name with a promise. A brand is an identity that specifies specifies expectation. So my name is Wisdom, right? Wisdom, Ating. You saw this flyer about this guy, and he's going to talk about personal branding for founders and business owners, right? And then you believed that based off of 1, 2, 3, whatever, this guy is going to be able to add value. So I'm going to give him this couple of hours of my day because I feel like he is going to be able to give me value that is commensurate to the time that I'm investing. Isn't that true? So that is branding. it's not one action, it's a set of actions that are done over time that creates the feeling or creates the impression or creates the perception of what to expect, that it is in line with the reason why it was done in the first place. I don't know if that makes sense. If you get that, let me see in the comment section, because like I said, I'm not here to preach or teach you to be a branding expert. I'm here to ensure that people after this class would be able to apply the things that we learned. So if you get it, yeah, somebody says, I get it. Somebody says, I get it. Somebody says, yeah, so I can continue. And now, remember, I broke it into two. So there was branding and there's personal. The thing about personal now is that is your own. And I think that the way God designed us, everybody starts off from a personal brand. The problem is that we go looking at other people and it causes stress, it causes, all of those things. So I'm just going to leave the comment for now and then I'll come back to you. So I can focus on you because you're the most important thing to me or important person to me today. Personal means that it's custom. No two personal brands can be the same. That is true. No two personal brands should be the same because no two humans are the same. So it means that it is unique to you. And then there's a misconception that, anytime we think about personal brand, everybody's just thinking about posting on social media, doing fancy graphics like the ones that, the guys at Engage help us put together to promote this webinar. But that's not true. That's not true. Anytime I meet Andrew, how do I feel about Andrew? The feelings I have about Andrew inspires what I would expect from Andrew. I'll give you an instance. If you see somebody that is a jerk, is an ass, right? What do you expect from the person anytime you meet the person? You expect the person to be an ass, right? Pardon my French. So if that is the case, it means that anytime somebody gets in contact with you, physically, virtually. So now you are talking to me. There are perceptions that are going to be shaped about me in your mind just by the virtue of this contact that we have. Branding ensures that that perception is in alignment with what I desire and what promotes whatever mission that I am on. Does that make sense? Okay, so we've established what digital personal branding is. Personal branding is the intentional act of shaping a feeling, expectation, or perception about your personality in a way that it aligns with the objectives for which you are doing that. And the first fact is that everybody has a brand. Once you see anybody, there is an impression of them that you have. You can't, God created us, we had a brand. Just from birth, right? And there are categories, brands exist sometimes in categories. So for example, if they say this person is a man, there's a brand that is attributed to men. There's a brand that is attributed to women. There's a brand that is attributed to, for example, people from the South, people from, for example, they say somebody's from Cross River. There's a stereotype that we have in Nigeria about people that are from Cross River, especially the women, right? There's a stereotype. The truth is, it will remain that way until people start to intentionally re-engineer the feeling and the perceptions and the expectations of people concerning that place. I don't want to say it here because I think it's a funny stereotype and it's generalized and it's not true. I say that because I'm from Akwa Ibom State on one hand and Cross River on the other hand. So both stereotypes don't favor me, right? But the truth is, I'm from Akwa Ibom and I think that I'm good, right? I represent my state well. We are not lazy, and the women don't only function in I digress. So back to our we're talking about personal branding. But now here's the thing. What's the difference between personal and corporate branding or business branding? Wherein the personal brand, like I said, I spoke about the personality. So there's a person. A business is not a person. A business is, at its best, a group of people, or is an entity that is represented by a group of people. So it's different, right? Whilst every human being has like a default personality, which then goes on to inspire how people perceive them and what people expect from them and all of those things. Businesses are represented by people. So for example, if I say MTN is an entity, right? It's not a person. So the approach that you take to do business branding, though is sometimes similar to personal branding, but it's not the same, right? Because there are things that drive a brand that exist on both ways, but are expressed differently. I don't know if that makes sense. But the goal is on both ends is that there is a market. And we want, for a business, we want to be able to capture the market by positioning ourselves in the way that supports our business growth. There's an objective, which is business growth. Once business enters, the long and short of it is that we are trying to provide value to the market at a level that it is more advanced than our competitors, but more efficient so that we make profit. That's business branding. Personal branding doesn't necessarily always have to end with, profit. It can just be establishing anything that helps you to pursue your passion. So I'll give you an instance that will clear a misconception. You don't have to become a thought leader because you are building a personal brand. That's not true. That's stress. It's not everybody that should become a thought leader, right? Because everybody's mission and vision in life is different. So as a person, if you're born Ating, I forgot to make this joke. My name is if you're born Ating, by the way, right? Wisdom is peer pressure. And a lot of the times I just use it so that it's easy to pronounce, right? My personal brand is, or the identity that I am most recognized with is Wisdom Ating, but my name is Ifeobo Ating. That's the name my father gave me. In short, God gave me through my father and my mother, right? So I go back. Now, imagine that we create this fallacy that everybody that is building a personal brand must be a thought leader. What of people that are not really good at public speaking? Oration is not their thing. So do you mean that they are at a disadvantage? No. Whether you are good at public speaking or not, you can build a personal brand, right? And it's personal because it's unique to you. Does that make sense? Right. Yeah, great to have you. The people that are joining, Hannah, great to have you. I hope that we're getting it. So come on, you guys, give me some encouragement. I want to see that people are following so that I don't just stay here and speak English, right? I need to be sure that we are together. People are giving me thumbs up. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for the thumbs up. That's very encouraging. That's very encouraging. Right. So somebody says, I'm following you. Thank you. The one, I'm happy that you're following. So the next thing is, why is branding important? Oh God, like this is the quick analogy I'll give is that imagine that all of us in this world, they just gave birth to us. We don't get name. We don't have, like we all look the same. Can you imagine that kind of world? Maybe AI will be able to show us that we all look the same. as they give birth to you, you and your siblings, all of you look the same. It will be so confusing because you don't know you don't know who did what. You don't know who to call for what. As an employer, sometimes, you interact with your team and you know that this one is this guy that can do it. This one is this guy that can do it. But imagine that all those people, they had the same name, same face, same complexion, everything. And then somebody does something for you today. And tomorrow you need somebody to do something you can't even identify. We are in constant, so because the world is one big community, right? And we all exist in it, we are constantly in a battle of differentiation. Another way to put it is that we are always selling something, whether you realize it or not. The day you start to understand that you are selling something at every point in time, that begs the question of differentiation. So that means I need to be set apart from every other person that has the potential to offer this thing or to do this assignment that God has given us. If for those of us that are Christians, you understand that they tell you that everybody's on earth is on earth for a purpose. There's a purpose for everybody. That thing is not a joke, right? There's a reason why you are here. And one of the things that personal branding does is to tell the whole world that, look, oh, this is why I'm here. And these are the things that I'm going to do to help me fulfill this purpose that I'm here. Sometimes it's not doing webinar. Sometimes it's just being in your corner and making your own impact, right? There is what we call, there's reality and there's perception. Branding engineers the perception. And I was having a discussion with someone yesterday and I told the person, how many of us agree that if you come out and cry for help, right? Before people drag me online, but I'm just going to speak from the perspective of a man. If you come out and cry for help that I'm dying, I'm dying, I'm dying, you are less likely to get help, but more likely to get help when people see you trying to do something. So the reality is that people people acknowledge that you are going through something, but they're not going to help you. So if it is then that you need to be seen doing something, so you need to be perceived as trying, you are able to override the reality. So I might not have money, but if I make you see me as if as though I have money, you are more willing to transact with me compared to somebody that comes out to say, look, I don't have money, help me, help me. Do you understand? So we're always in a battle against perception versus reality. And I bet you that most of the strong personal brands that you've seen across the world, you have created a picture in your mind about them based off of the actions or inactions that they have made that is not true. It's not their reality. Think of anybody you know and really like as a person. Have you heard that argument that Ronaldo get money past Messi? Oh God. Ronaldo, the way he plays, he get money past Messi. There has been a perception that has been shared, maybe because the guy is doing a couple of things and then amplifying those things, then you deduce something based on the things that you've seen that makes you feel like, no, this guy must have a lot of money. But you are unaware of his reality. So unless you are actually in close proximity with someone, you may not actually understand their reality. If they are intentional about it, all they are doing is shaping a perception about you. This leads me to the next point, which is there is value, which is actual value, and there is perceived value. The question I'll ask us now is, which one is better? Which one do you prefer? Helen, Blessing, Ansel, Andrew, Esther, Hannah, Helen. Okay, Philip, Isaiah, which one do you prefer? Do you prefer actual value or perceived value? Share with me in the chat box now. Share with me in the chat box. Actual value or perceived value, which one do you prefer? Do you prefer to, as it is, let it just be like that? Or you prefer it to be like, if the value is here, people will think it's here. Which one do you prefer? Somebody say, I prefer perceived value. That's okay. That's okay. That's a good opinion. Come on, come on. The rest of us, actual value. Johnny Isaiah says, actual value as it is. Let me just take it like that. That's powerful. That's powerful. Perceived value, Hannah says, I prefer perceived value. Because of time, I'll just get back to it. Now, because of the way we are in the world is not fair. I already gave an analogy of people will always help the person that is seen to be trying to achieve something than they will help the person that is helpless. So it is people that have help that get more help, not people that are helpless. It's a funny thing that we are in the world. So perceived value always benefits you over actual value. It's true. Okay. Diwan says, it depends on how I'm feeling. I love it. What I want to establish to you is that while you work, okay, somebody said, to an extent, I prefer perceived value. That's okay. That's great. What you want to do is, because of the intentionality of sustaining the, remember I said the brand is an identity with a promise. So it's something that specifies to people what to expect, right? I know I'm talking about personal brands today, but there's one of my schoolmates, right, who is now a musician, and great guy. He has put in the work. He has okay, somebody says, I prefer perceived value. I live by shaping people's perception. That's great. He has put in the work. This guy has worked so hard. And now the thing is, he's now a popular, popular brand. Everybody knows him. I'm struggling to, his name is Tochukwu, but I'm just not going to mention his brand name. But when you hear 100 men mount for gates, you know who it is. You say, I go Dagara, I go Stava. You know who it is. And the truth is, that personal brand is so strong. It might not align with your values. It might not align with, what you think and all of those things, but it's so strong that you know what to expect from it at every time. You know that if this talent, and he's really talented, is performing and you cut off his sound, you know what you are going to get from it, right? So that is what a personal brand is, that I have taken a stand that for me, this is how I'm going to be. And then regardless of what is going on, you will expect that this is how I'm going to be. And guess what? Whether that is good or bad is left to you. But don't sit on the fence. People must know what to expect from you. And they must get that repeatedly. Does that make sense? So let's go to the next stuff. The foundation of a personal brand. Let me tell you the people the truth. These guys behind the camera, they just want to embarrass me, but it's not going to work because this picture that you see here, I changed it to one of the biggest personal brand in corporate Nigeria. But it's okay. I mean, I was trying to farm him so that, maybe he'll see this video now and he'll be happy with me. But yeah, I digress. The first foundation of a powerful personal brand is what you stand for. Values. Values. That's what controls all of us. So self-awareness there is speaking about how much of yourself do you know? Or are you just dilly-dallying? Anytime, anything goes. Again, I hope that by now I have removed the thought that a personal brand just leads to you to being a thought leader, being, what do you call it, Tony Robbins and all of those things. No. That can happen eventually, but that's not the only end goal, right? We are designed to make impact at different levels, and it might not be on some, like big platforms at every time, but there's a reason why you are here. Do you know that reason? And do you know the things in terms of values that you need to hold on to, you need to imbibe to be able to lead you to your destination? So values, do you have values? I understand that sometimes I see that organizations always have values. And when I'm talking corporate branding, it's one of the things I used to, yab organizations with. You see people who say integrity, accountability, they will say teamwork, and all of those things. You have accountability as a leader, you're CEO. You come to work by 10. Meanwhile, your opening time is 8. You are not accountable. And it's not wrong. What you are doing is not wrong. It's just that accountability cannot be your value. Because if your accountability is your value, your employee is supposed to be able to ask you, hold you accountable, and then you will answer. You will feel like I'm Oga. So I'm saying that anything can be your value. It's left to you and what your purpose is, why you are here. Do you know that I hold some, because of my marketing mind and my branding mind, I hold some things that, some truths, I accept them. Well, not accept them, I permit them because of the world that we live in. I don't look at it as bad. It is what you have decided. That's your value. So if somebody says, look, me, one of my values is integrity. And then they say, okay, there's no fuel, but you can use the back, that thing, that back gate that you can just use and then cut into the filling station and then buy fuel. Are you going to take that opportunity? Because nobody likes stress. Come on, Nigeria is interesting. But if your core value is integrity, how are you going to be able to take that? And I think part of the problem is that a lot of us don't have personal core values. Personally, one of my core values is excellence. I'm not a perfectionist, but I like things to be done excellently. So anytime I do something and people clap that this is okay, this is so nice, if it doesn't match my threshold of excellence, I mourn in my heart. Sometimes I used to annoy my friends. After you finish reading for an exam and you're planning to score maybe 90 or 100 if you can, and then you end up scoring like 85, and you're like, and everybody say, oh, thank God, Omo, you did so well. Me, I scored 60, and I'm like, but I was aiming for 90. 195 is like, you're so annoying. That is because personally, I believe that 100% is not enough if I was planning to give 105. That's my personal value, one of it, right? And there are some things that you will never catch me if you're one thing, popularly known as wisdom and think doing. It's not possible. Not because I look at them as bad, or it's just not for me. And if it is for you, that is okay. It's a question of values. What do you live by? What are the guiding principles that, direct your life? This is very important for any personal brand. So the question now is, moment of silence, 30 seconds. Do you have values? Do you have personal values? Do you have things that guide you as a person? Because, somebody had said that, oh, what of employees? Part of the things that even decides where you should work is the alignment of your personal values and the corporate values. Because if they are different, you will be frustrated. Do you understand? Then the next thing is vision. What is the picture of the destination that you imagine? And like I said, it doesn't have to end up on the big screen on the big platform. No, that cannot be it. I don't know that, except that's what you were put on earth to do, but I don't know that, you just come and your goal will be to be popular. No, that's so selfish. God did not put you here for yourself. God put you here to assist him in being an answer to the prayers of others. In whatever you are doing. Somebody is praying, God, I'm going through a tough time. I need somebody to talk to, but I can't afford therapy. So can you help me? And God says, you know what, Philip, I think that what I've put you on earth to is to be the listening ear to the people that have a lot to say. And that becomes your purpose, right? And then with your value, it defines the actions that you begin to take. You don't have to be Obama to fulfill that purpose. I know that in our part of the world, Africa is a very poor continent. I mean, in terms of like standard of living. So we are always in survival mode. Everybody's, part of the reason why, I didn't want to put this for free was that people always think that if something is free, the value is going to be subpar, maybe they use it as a lead magnet. None of that. I'm not going to do that. Not asking you to buy any course, don't do anything. No. If you call me after this, I'll just charge you what I normally charge for consultation. I'm not selling nothing to you because I am also living within the confines of what I think I've been put on earth for. Does that make sense? If that makes sense, just give me thumbs up so that I can continue. I need to be sure that we're on the same page. So vision, what do you see? The Bible says that as a man thinketh in his eye, I apologize for those of us that are not Christian, please. Me, the way that I am, it's already part of me. There's nothing I can do. So please, pardon me. Yeah. But as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And motivational speakers, so there's somebody here that is one of them. You cannot future in the future that you cannot picture. You get that? So vision is very important because vision defines direction. Where are you going to? Listen, guys, if you understand personal branding and it's important, you see that it ultimately leads you to a place of self-discovery. It's not about the paparazzi primarily. It's about knowing yourself. Where are you going to? What is your mission on earth? What are you trying to achieve? And I think that if you are existing on earth and you don't have a mission, you don't have a why, you may want to consider it. Because the day you discover a why, no matter what happens in your life, you have a reason to stay alive. But if you don't have a why, it's very easy for things or situations to suggest, just end it. That silent voice that tells people, just end it. But if you have a why, it creates hope. So what is your why? And then the next thing is, who are you called for? I know I sound very religious when I'm saying that, but you can't be for everybody. Jesus came. Oh my God. I'm sorry. Well, I'm not sorry. But Jesus came for the sinners. He didn't come for everybody. And remember, I said he's one of the biggest personal brands that has existed prior to now, right? Or even to this date, right? Jesus came for the sinners. He came for a group of people. You cannot be for everybody, because if God gives you all the capabilities that is expected, right, to become everything in yourself, like makes you self-sufficient, because you're a man, you can try to be God. So God gives us gifts in part so that when we come together, we can establish something that is bigger than ourselves. Does that make sense? So You need to discover who you are called for. There's no bigger mistake in life to be living your life serving the people that you were not called to serve. There's a nickname for it. It's called frustration. There's a deeper sense of fulfillment that comes from serving the people that you were called to serve. That in the midst of everything, you will stay focused, understanding that at least look at this person. At least look at this person and the change that they've made. Does this make sense? I hope that this makes sense. And then I can continue. So now, a little technical stuff, but I'll break it down. Brand archetype. And it's like personality. How many of us have heard of the word temperament? You know, psychologists have studied and they've been able to break temperament into some categories: sanguine, you know, melancholic, phlegmatic, and those are great. Some of those things also play out in personal branding, but in a way, remember, most of what we are trying to be on is a journey to self-awareness and self-awareness, self-discovery, and then self-mastery. Those are the three things you must capture from personal branding: self-awareness, self-discovery, self-awareness, self-mastery. These are the foundations on which a strong personal brand is built. Before we get to the media and the amplification, those are secondary things, but fundamentally, everybody has the capacity to build a personal brand. Grace Bassi, it's nice to have you. See, I interrupted this class for you because you snuck in while we're there. But it's good to have you. It's good to have you here. So the brand archetypes just specify the personalities of brand. So remember when I said, because MTN is not a human being, what the branding community had done was to try and describe it within the confines of a personality that can help people understand how it functions, how it speaks. So there are different brand archetypes. And there is, you know, leader, there is creator, there is guide, there's rebel. These are simplified ways, you know. If you get into branding core, there's magician, rebel repeats itself, there's everyday man. There are 12 brand archetypes. And they express, there's caregiver, they express themselves differently. I'll give you an instance. There's a brand called Mother Teresa. How many of us know Mother Teresa? Yeah, we all know Mother Teresa, don't we? Right. If you don't know Mother Teresa, you are probably Gen Z. And if you don't know Mother Teresa, right? But Mother Teresa of Calcutta, she was a philanthropist and, you know, someone that she was a nun that took care of the underserved and less privileged within that community. On the other hand, there's Adolf Hitler. Those two are personal brands. The personality of one is, oh, I said Adolf Hitler, somebody covered their mouth, sorry. I shouldn't have said Adolf Hitler, but he's dead, right? So I'm safe. I could have mentioned somebody more recent. Somebody came to mind and I said, no, let me just say Adolf Hitler. So what happens is that one has a caregiver brand and one has a rebel brand. One is anti-something, one is pro-something, right? And like I said, to me, both of them, from the context of branding, I don't regard any of them as wrong. Remember, they have discovered themselves, or they are now aware of themselves and they have mastered themselves, at least to the degree that it contributes to the fulfillment of the purpose on which they are on earth. Does that make sense? So the different brand archetypes, you could just Google brand archetype or Google brand personality. So if you are a leader, which is maybe like, that's the magician brand, what typically you do is that you set the pace for others to follow. So I don't want to cross into business branding, but if you see a brand that is a hero brand, sorry, not magician, a hero brand, you will see brands like let's say NATO, right? That's a hero brand, right? They are always, to the degree that they have like the the save me type of responsibility. Another popular hero brand would be like your superheroes, Spider-Man. People are always looking up to them for something greater than self. A president of any country is also a hero brand for the most part, right? But there's also the magician brand, those people that spearhead innovation and all of those things. These things exist. So you need to ask yourself, what am I best at? What personality that, like, if I existed, I don't wear out and then leave that. I am a very compassionate person. But if you tell me to, okay, somebody says for more information on brand archetype, everyone here should study Carl Jung. Yeah, he's a great one, a Swiss psychologist. I think I've read an article that was developed from the excerpts from his study. So I even would look at that. Thank you so much, Andrew, for sharing that. So the archetype specifies personality. Why this is very important is that your personality defines how you speak, how you move, who you interact with. It defines your friends. It defines who you're even called for. So imagine that you are like me, you're a church boy, and you now say that you're called to serve nightlife people. Me, the way I am, by 10 o'clock, naturally, my body starts to shut down. I don't know any club that is open by 10. So typically, your clubs will start to open by 1 a.m., 2 a.m. You see that just putting myself in that position starts to wear me out because I'm in a place that is not natural to me. Do you understand? That's why your personality is important. Right. So, building a brand that opens doors. I want to be able to run through this slide and then we can ask questions. I hope that we'll have enough time to answer questions. Remember that I said there's perceived value, at least we all agreed on that perceived value is better to shape perceived value than actual value. That is what, some of the biggest brands have done. Why is it that in terms of core functionality, if I can sing, I can try to sing, right? I try. You might not like it, but I try, right? So if you tell me to sing the national anthem, Shebi is national anthem. I sing it, I just have to be on key, follow the melody and all of those things. But you call Tiwa Savage to sing the national anthem. In terms of core functionality, what are both of us doing? We are singing. So they were looking for somebody to sing national anthem and somebody has sang national anthem, isn't it? But now, why is it that what more value in terms of reward is attributed to one person over the other person? It's simple, perceived value. They just believe that based off of XYZ that has been done over time and the result that has been gotten, this person is bringing more to this situation or scenario than every other or this other person. That's me in this case. Does that make sense? So one of the benefits of, personal branding is perceived value, right? And you don't have to do a webinar for people to see that. Thank you so much. Yeah. So, but I don't want to do free promo for anybody. But thank you, Isaiah, for that. I really appreciate you. So, one of the benefits of personal branding is the, engineering of perceived value. And we'll go and start looking at some of the ways. I hope that I'll be able to settle on that so as show us. But the way to do this is first, can we stay stable? I'm getting a bit distracted, right? The way to do this is first, clarity. I spoke about self-discovery, self-awareness, self-mastery. These are very key. What are you known for? And there's a popular saying that if you don't define yourself, the society will give you a name. And it might not be, or if you don't give yourself a label, or you don't label yourself, society will give you a label. It might not be what you want to be labeled with. So what are you known for? And somebody's thinking, so if you said you don't have to be thought leaders and all of those things, how then do I specify what I'm known for? Let me give you an instance. Let's say we are in a group, right? Thank you so much for putting my slides back on. Let's say we're in a group and we say we're going to meet by 10 a.m., like some of us that we had planned to meet by 10 a.m. today. Somebody was here, I think 10 minutes before or 5 minutes before that time. If consistently we say we're going to meet by 10 and the person comes 5 minutes before that time, 5 minutes before that time, 5 minutes before that time, guess what? I would then say that this particular gentleman or lady, they are time conscious. It might not be true. But what the conclusion I have made is that they are time conscious because over a period of time, an action was repeated consistently. That is the basis of personal branding, is understanding yourself and knowing that over this period, this is what I am going to be repeating, not even for them, for you, because it helps me get towards my objective and fulfill the purpose to which I am on earth. Does that make sense? Yeah? If you are here, or I see praise, I don't know if the praise I think, but if this is the praise, great to have you here, praise. So yeah, clarity is the first thing. That's how you build brand. You need to have self-discovery, self-awareness, and self-mastery. Then the next thing is consistency. Don't let me, today you are early, tomorrow you are late. I don't know what to expect from you. I think that if you consistently are late, at least people know that this one is going to be late. Let me not lie, you know one of those your tailors that you don't give them clothes that you need within short notice. They are really good, they are everything, but you know that this one, you need to lie that the wedding is 1 month earlier for you to get it. Do you understand? Because consistently, the guy has been late. The person that consistently has been early and keeps to time, you most likely go for that person, even if the person is not as good as this other person. So you make decisions based off certainty. The worst thing we want on earth is uncertainty. Nobody thrives in uncertainty. That's not our natural state. So everybody is always looking for some level of certainty. If a workplace, for example, is toxic, it's better for it to be consistently toxic or consistently non-toxic, but not toxic on Monday, not toxic on Tuesday. People don't know what to expect. And typically what people do is they remove themselves from those kinds of situations. So you have to be consistent in your tone. I spoke about personality or archetype, and I said it specifies certain things. If you are, let's say, a caregiver brand. So one of the ways that I explain the caregiver brand is like my grandmother. My grandmother is always welcoming, soft-spoken, ready to listen to me. Even when she's shouting, it's kind of cute, right? Because she is grandmother. And in that state, the most important objective to her is to nurture, right? Which is why you technically see that grandparents spoil their grandchildren more than the parents themselves are willing to. Do you understand? So the caregiver brand, if that's where you fall into, that means that you are someone that is given to nurture. You are someone, there is a way you speak. It's not tomorrow you are shouting at the junction. Next tomorrow, you are sharing money and all of those things. No, not that. Do you understand? So there is a tone with which now we are beginning to move into communication. Once you are communicating with people, remember that all we are doing, it doesn't even have to, it pays you if you are authentic and original, right? But we are shaping perception. So I am a caregiver brand, and this is what a caregiver brand, and that's what is happening a lot, like a lot in the world, right? A lot of the people we see on our screens and we admire, that's not exactly how they are, at least 24/7. No, but they have to wear that image for it to align with or resonate with whatever perception you have of them. Does that make sense? And then there's visibility. This is where everybody starts when it comes to personal branding. Everybody just wants to be visible. I would like to advise you that the first thing you should do is build the foundation to everything I've said up until now. Self-mastery, self-discovery, self-awareness, and try and understand yourself before you get to visibility. So the visibility, it would technically be sure where it matters. It doesn't only have to be social media. I'm saying this because I want to demystify this whole thing for people. Show up where it matters. What I am doing with you now is part of my personal branding, right? And I don't have to be talking to 50,000 people to be able to achieve it. That would be great. But it's part of my personal brand. What really did it take? And you know, the funny thing, if you meet me any day, you interact with me, after we exchange pleasantries, the conversation that we're going to have is going to tilt towards this direction. That's what I live. So it's not about, you know, going on social media and being loud. No, it's making sure that the people that you are called to serve see you. Somebody says wearing that image can be done through creating a persona. Yes. So that's the personality that we spoke about, right? So once you understand that this is the persona that I want to represent, then you can begin to act in accordance with that. That's a great contribution, Andrew. Thank you. So show up where it matters. And I like that it says where it matters. Sometimes we deploy our energies in areas that you are not even comfortable with and does not contribute a lot to what you are trying to achieve, right? And then lastly, credibility. Build trust with proof and social capital. Now I've come to talk to Andrew, Grace, Hannah, all the people that are here. And hopefully I'm able to influence you to trust me when it comes to personal branding and conversations around branding, right? The proof would be that, so this somebody here, I can scroll up, right, is able to, word of mouth is the biggest form of promotion that still exists. And then imagine that they are talking to one of you in the room and they say, oh, we really need somebody that has a fair understanding. Hey, guess what? I'm going to fall within your circle of consideration. So that's where you have to be. And credibility, again, is born from consistency. By the time people know that consistently this guy is exhibiting these positive attributes, they are going to trust you in that regard. And the proof of it is the antecedents that existed. And amassing this number of people that have this perception over a period of time is called social capital. That becomes your social capital in that regard. I don't know if that makes sense. Do I still have you people? So if you are with me and you are following to this point, give me some fillers in the comments. If you have a question so far, you can ask. So now Andrew had sort of gone ahead of this to speak about positioning. Confirm that you can see what is written on the slides. So because we're discussing positioning Positioning is simple. It's just marketing. Don't mind marketing people, like grammar, they'll just make simple things big. Positioning is simple, right? I explained it before. If I say, positioning is how people see something, right? Or how you make people see you. That is your positioning. I'll say it again. Positioning is how you make people see you or perceive you. It's for lack of a better word, is a position that you have taken that inspires a perception. Positioning, it's a stand that you have taken that inspires a perception. Remember the pastor thing I said. So right now, I'm acting in a certain way and all of those things, and I do it over a period of time. People are going to, so my position is that I am holy, I am Christ-like, so people attribute me to the brand pastor and everything that comes with it. Does that make sense? So that's positioning. And one of the ways to position is define your niche, your area of influence. Because we have limited time on earth and limited resources as well, you can't serve everybody. I can't overemphasize this. So you have to define your scope of influence. Are you called for XYZ type of people? Are you called for me, Wisdom Ating, I'm called for business people only. I'm going to apply every other area of my life to ensure that business succeeds, business is work, right? That's my niche, business. So if you have marital problem, I'm not your guy. I'm not going to help you. Most times I will share my opinion, right? And remind you that if you have financial problem, I can't help you. Sorry, but I have somebody that can help you, right? And then, so you get the point. I have defined my niche. And then, what is your value proposition? I'll tell you what value proposition is. There is this person doing this thing. There's this person doing this thing, right? The thing that this person is providing that makes their own service or their offering superior to what this guy is providing is called the value proposition. So typically, the gap between option A and B, right? The thing that fills that gap is called value proposition. Sometimes they call it differentiation. It's what differentiates A from B. So remember I said, imagine that all of us were looking the same. But now, even when there's a name that distinguishes us, there is colors and all of those things, all those things. But in personal brand, I demystified those things. So even if you don't have them, right, your name is one of the key identifiers of your personal brand. The value proposition would be one thing that sets the one person over the other, and it can be in different ways. Since we are talking about personal brands, right, I will leave the product out of it, but it could be that this guy just knows how to simplify things. I'm speaking from the perspective of like somebody that, teaches, right? So these two people do the same thing, but this guy knows how to simplify it to my understanding. That can be a value proposition. A value proposition can be that whilst this guy is implementing his strategies, he's also building my faith. So that's me. Do you understand? You have to identify, and my advice would be, it should always be in line with your personality or the persona that you've created so that it is not stressful. Personal branding is not supposed to wear you out. It's just an idea of, now that I am like this way, this is the way I am. Hopefully that's good. And it aligns with what you're trying to achieve. But this is the way I am. Can I now gather all of these things and form a package or cook something, cook a meal with it that people can eat? The people that I am called to serve can eat. Do you understand? Now that we have the people that we're called to serve or our scope of influence, and then we have, what do you call it? Our value proposition. We know one thing that this scope of influence needs, and we are able to provide that makes us superior to other people that are likely to provide that thing. Then the part that we always start with, start to tell stories. Now, these stories have to be authentic or perceived to be authentic and original. We go and copy what, if you don't have Benz, there is no problem. One of the things that I have studied over time in terms of like behaviors, pardon me, consumer behaviors, is that we are all communal beings and we ride on stories. If you tell a progressive story of your life, you are likely to get people to support you and rally around you because people are attracted to success. People are attracted to progress. If you go because people are popping champagne and you want to, maybe you're a lifestyle brand and you want to shape perceived value, that's also okay. But if you cannot sustain it and you get yourself into debt and all of those things, it is not necessary. Take it from me. Right? So once people see that your story is true, it is, or they perceive that it is true, they will want to rally around you. They want to be associated with you. Let me ask you this question. Sometimes you go to a place and you see some guy, and then you find out that there's something about this guy. You just feel like I should talk to this guy or this lady. Why is that? Have you ever asked yourself why? It is because of the actions or inactions that the person has applied that creates that perception of importance or relevance when you come in contact with them. It's something that the person's behavior has adapted to. So when they get into a room, for example, they command attention or command the respect of the room. And then build thought leadership via content. The reason why I put this back is that don't go and start with this, right? Or let this not be your key motive. It is in self-discovery, self-awareness, self-mastery, and then understanding who you are that you now begin to package and share the same experience with people. Does that make sense? So you start to show up where it matters. Thought leadership is not only on social media. It's great. Social media is an affordable way to amplify your media activities. But here's the thing: there are people that are not really on social media, but they have a deep level of influence, and they contribute to a lot of things that happen. Does that make sense? So what then happens is that you want to, this journey that you are on, there's somebody out there. So maybe you're on day 200 and somebody's on day 1. That thought leadership component helps that person to get to day 200 when you at that time would have been at day 500. So that's why it's important. We are here not just to, knowledge is acquired to be shared. So, and I don't look at thought leadership from the perspective of, oh, I'm the Alpha and Omega, everything I say is true and all of you should go and die. No, I look at it more from the perspective of, from the perspective of, this is my own view to XYZ. Does that make sense? So that's what it's, and then engage in strategic collaborations. There is nothing wrong in coming together. I think that is something that we need to imbibe in Africa. So if you are a stylist and there's another stylist, sometimes you guys are not even serving the same market. But if you come together, it sparks an innovation that wouldn't have existed if you guys just played your individual games. So engage is strategic. And it says strategic. One of the things that we need to drop, guys, is that sometimes you wake up and you just want to collaborate with the biggest person out there. And the question I always ask in that case is, what are you bringing to the table? You are manipulative. You are not trying to, you are not fair. Whatever you are doing, there's somebody around you that is also equally at the stage that you are at. Maybe that's a good person to start. Because if you guys continue amassing yourself, eventually you will become a force, right? And something that, everybody wants to associate with. So how to build your influence online? Number one, choose your platform wisely. I personally don't think that you need to be on every platform, contrary to what my very revered and respected online mentor, Gary Vaynerchuk, thinks. I think that people have preferences, right? And in the world we live in, everybody is on an average of three, let me use social media platforms, right? So it then means that, okay, Andrew says, as a fashion designer, I concur with your point on collaboration. Thank you so much, Andrew. Yes, maybe I should even touch on that to be more specific. So you're a fashion designer, there's a photographer. Don't go and try to work with Kelechi Amadiobi at the stage that you are at. That's not fair, right? That's not fair. Even if you are that good, Kelechi also has somebody at his level that he might. So look at it this way. Kelechi is trying to get customers. You are trying to get customers. Kelechi has got to. So Kelechi Amadioha is one of the biggest fine art fashion photographers in Nigeria, if not Africa, right? He's trying to get customers. You are trying to get customers. Kelechi's clients are premium because he has put in the work over 18, 20, almost 20 years now. You are just starting. You are trying to amass customers. Your customers are not as valuable to Kelechi as his customers are to you. Is that a fair collaboration? It's not. So maybe you want to do collaboration with somebody who you guys are sort of, at the same level or not too far, or there's something tangible that you are going to offer the other person. You must always try to, provide a win-win. Okay, so I'll get back into it. Choose your platform wisely. It is dependent on the objective that you want to achieve. Typically, or generally, you know that if you want to position yourself as a professional career and all of these things, LinkedIn is the way to go about it. But here's the thing. We all sound the same on LinkedIn. Remember that we tell stories. Human beings are story beings. We ride on stories. So when LinkedIn came out, the guys that set up LinkedIn, all of them were nerds. So they sounded a particular way when they deployed their platform. And the people that joined continued to sound like them. You are losing your identity. Now, there are some things that the platform naturally, is not suited for the platform. But guess what? That can be your advantage. Because as a fashion designer, you see, one of the last places they'll tell you to go to, Andrew, is LinkedIn. I'm just saying, you don't have to, but you need to understand your permissiveness to the platform. But guess where very few fashion designers will be going? LinkedIn. So you being the fashion designer that is using LinkedIn to amass influence creates a blue ocean for you compared to a Pinterest or an Instagram where every fashion designer is going. I don't know if that makes sense. So typically when you think about platform, you have to now, remember, you have self-discovery, self-aware, you know yourself. Now you are trying to get yourself that you know to the market. to, show the value that you have and how you can be valuable to the market. I think that you should choose platforms that you are comfortable with and then that you can navigate easily. All the platforms that I know have an average of what? 1.2 billion users globally, right? So it means that, and really, what does your business need? Maybe 0.00001 of that audience, right? Because I'm talking to the businesses now and I'm looking like if you get 1% of that, it might be something for your business, right? So which platform meets what I am trying to achieve? It can't be all. And even if it's all and you have the system to run all, there will be one that is most suited. And I'm talking from, I don't have money, I need to start, I don't have a team, where do I start? You know best. What are you trying to do? If you're in fashion, I just gave Expo to Andrew now. Pretty much on LinkedIn, you don't see anybody talking about fashion except people that went to a fashion show or a fashion event or all of those things. But guess what? The professionals that are on LinkedIn, don't they dress? Who is sharing ideas or guides for corporate, image and all of those things with them? Nobody. That's an opportunity for Andrew, right? And then there's Instagram. Everybody knows Instagram. But what are you using it for? People say, I was at an event and I mentioned Facebook and somebody said, it tells how old you are. And I laughed. Because any platform that has been deserted, it means that the cost of acquiring influence on that platform is lesser. Because the platform will be trying to get more people back to the platform. Yeah, you heard it here first. Expo. So when people are saying, oh, that dead stuff, the thing I would do is I'll go and check how many annual users do they have. So that means those people are there. There's still somebody checking, no problem. Then I'll go hard on it. Then the next thing is create content with purpose. Create content for you. For me, that's my point. Create content for you, not for likes, not for all of those things. Those things are good for you to improve. You measure them to improve, not for validation. Whoever you are, your story is your story, and it is enough. It doesn't have to make sense to other people. It's your story, right? So I did this, and to be frank, I didn't promote this webinar. And then when I do it and I put it up, I'm not going to promote anything. I'm just contributing my own quota, my perspective to the body of knowledge that exists around branding and marketing. Finish. I'm not doing it for you. If none of you came here to this thing, which I'm grateful that some, like the number of people that are here, but if none of you came, I'll still put this camera, shoot the video, and put it out. Because that's what I feel like doing at this point in time. So create content with purpose. Let it not just be, oh, Lai Wasabi did something, you saw it, and then you just copy it. I'm not against that. Actually, I support you to copy. Once you've seen somebody that aligns with your own brand, like, there's a similarity or some parallels. Oh, not parallels now, like intersections. Copy. But when you copy, localize it. Make it your own. Make it your story, right? If you don't have mansion, don't go and post that you have mansion. Because tomorrow, you will now have to enter that mansion again. What if the door has been locked? Before you know, you're on Instablog, they've arrested you like somebody that went viral because they went to snap picture in front of somebody's car. Just be authentic. Create a story that is yours. Then show your face. This one is here and there. Show your face and personality. You want people to see that this is one of the reasons why people think that, oh, you're so good in front of the camera is like, I'm myself. I'm not trying to be anybody. I mean, there are layers of things that has been done around my personal brand that, shapes the perception that I require, like I desire you to have about me. But at the core of everything, I'm myself. When I meet people, I'm myself. And constantly, the team is always trying to give me feedback around something I might have done in somewhere. You heard like when I mentioned Adolf Hitler, somebody reacted, but I'm myself. I can, if tomorrow again, you tell me to come and do this, I will still be myself. And then grow your network intentionally. The thing now is, what I support is, once you are doing all of these things on LinkedIn, on all of those platforms, that's great. But here's the thing. Try to move that influence to somewhere you can control. My brand I have a website, and I've not done it yet, but it's one of the things that I've been looking to do, to have a close community that I can reach at any time, whether through newsletters, through like Telegram groups or something that a community is important for you, because those are the people that you are called to serve. Think about it. Why is it that people go out to do evangelism, and at the end of the day, they bring the people into like one group or one body? Why is it so? It's so that you can reach them again and reiterate the things that or the messages that you are called to deliver to them. Because nobody actually learns something in one time. Nobody. Again, the Bible says that faith comes by hearing. Sorry, I know this will be my last Bible quote. Faith comes by hearing and hearing. So before something can be established as faith, it means that you have to hear it repeatedly. So what then happens if people go in contact with you and that's it and they go? You are not able to reiterate. So that truth that they were supposed to get, they're not able to get it. And then use testimonial and social proof. Anytime somebody says, I am following a very insightful class, Chakam, I will now use that one now to say, look at what they said about me. So that's PR now, right? Look at what they say about me. As I'm doing it, people are believing the fact that this guy is who he says he is. Does that make sense? So use testimonials. Don't play with testimonials. See, I used to be shy. I'm not even lie. Like most times when I do stuff and people come to my DM and say some stuff, I'm like, oh yeah, I just say glory to God and I keep it moving. Guess who does not know? The other people that would have benefited from that. I'm not even talking about perspective of money, but it's good. But if somebody else saw that, who now? Grace, right? Enjoyed this service and got value out of this, they are able to also reach out to, request that value. So even from a point of like amount or growing your influence, it is good to show what you have done, what you are doing, so that I can create room for what you are to do. Does that make sense? I was trying to rhyme like, Pentecostal pastor, but that did not work. We can continue now. So to the next common mistakes that founders make. If you are here, you're a founder, listen to me critically. Being everything to everyone. Nobody will recognize you. You can't be everything to everyone. I already told you, if you have financial issues and you come to me, the best I can do is pray for you. And then I'll refer you to Mage Africa. Finish. If you have marital problems, I will pray for you. When you finish, I'll invite you to my church and ask you to go and meet my pastor, who is a marriage counselor. Do you understand? If you have a business issue, we can talk for hours. Because that's who I have decided to be for business people. I'm a business solutions provider to business people, not marriage solutions to business people. That's my niche. Another mistake is inconsistency in message or appearance. Mistakes that founders make. Inconsistency in message or appearance. Thank God that I have this thing that has been put up now. The way that you see me on this beautiful flyer that the team has put together for me, which I'm very grateful for, is that I appear that way most of the time. So even in terms of like my fashion now, like my dressing, there are things you can never see me wear. Yes, you can never see me wear some things. It's not possible, right? And there are rules that because of who I am and how I see myself, there are things I cannot do. Okay. And these are practices that I've had over a period of time. For example, since the day that this cap, I put it on my Instagram and then, I asked a funny question, which in hindsight, I think I shouldn't have asked. That, oh, look, people say, oh, it looks so nice. And then I asked, should I make it a signature? And then people said yes. It's been 2017 till now. It's been how many years now? Almost 8 years. Okay, no, it's not up to 8 years. It's about 6 years now since I've been wearing this most times. So you know what then happens is that I'm in a crowd and somebody walks up to me and says, I saw your cap from a distance. It has become an identity for me, right? And there are a lot of other things that we started to do with it to just make it personalized to me. Because if you notice, I stay in Abuja. In Abuja now, everybody's wearing Yoruba cap because the president is from the Southwest. So I took it a notch higher to also differentiate myself. So now, if you look at it closely, I don't know which side I should be showing, but it has my personalized sign or symbol on it, just like the president has his own. That's also a very good personal brand that we could look at. And then the next thing would be neglecting personal platforms. Let me share the concept that has gained popularity in recent times called founder-led marketing. As a person, because people can see you and they can relate with you, they will always take you and whatever you say about your business more serious than if the business itself was saying it. That is why businesses, MTN has ambassadors. Those people are now people that others can relate with, that speak on behalf of the business to people, because the business is inanimate. It cannot talk. So as a person, as a founder, as a business owner, you can't neglect a personal brand. There's nothing wrong with it. See, look at your platforms as a TV station, right? That you are using to create influence that would translate to business for you. So now imagine that you tune into Mnet 1 and nothing is showing. Mnet 2, nothing is showing. Mnet 3, Monday to Saturday. What would happen is that by the next Monday, you won't tune into Mnet 1 again because you don't expect them to show. So I was having this conversation with a friend and I said, if people do actually go to check, I know that some of you might have gone to Google me, check all of those things. I hope you found positive things about me. But the truth is, people will check. It's a consumer behavior. Search online, buy offline for most things. So search is powerful. People are going to search. When they search, they are going to make assumptions or impressions about you and whatever you represent. When people check and you've not been active for 2 years, they believe that your business is no longer active. So they'll look for the next alternative, which is why I said, don't overwhelm yourself. Start with what you can do, what you like, and what aligns with the objective that you're trying to meet. So the way that I look at it is, if it is LinkedIn that Andrew is going to use, I'm talking about fashion and providing those fashion solutions, right? Image consultancy and stuff. He can use it to a point where his business has now made enough money for him to hire the person that likes Instagram. Then the person will focus on Instagram. Somebody that likes Instagram, Facebook, or whatever. So you can then outsource it. But for the period where I'm just starting, like somebody said, I don't have money, I don't have all these cameras, I don't have all these things. What do I do? This camera that is pointing at me can very well be your phone if you wanted to do a recording. What matters is that people can hear you. You see that at some point my camera went off, but we continued talking because you could hear me. So it's not about what you don't have. It's more about what you have to offer. So whatever you have is something that somebody needs. So don't neglect your personal platforms at the expense of your business platforms. I even think now some platforms like Instagram, they have collaborations. Collaborate. Is your business, carry it on your head, right? There are dangers to it, however, that if you are doing that and you are pushing a business, just like any other thing, if you have a scandal, it will affect your business as well. Because since you are the promoter of the business, people just assume that that's how the business is. There's that guy from one African country who went viral and he was doing amazing things, with plenty women. If you find out about that guy's business, even though a lot of people seem psyched by the idea of that, but you are very unlikely to want to do business with him because of the impressions or the things that you have created in your mind about his personality, which may or may not be right. Do you understand? So that's one of the downsides to it, but I'm always for, because I don't think any of us here is planning to get into scandal, right? And even if you did, let's say there was a mistake, there's always a way out, right? It's all back to the fact that human beings are given to stories and we are story beings, right? So once a story exists, if you tell another story adequately, it will suppress the first story, at least significantly. So stop copying what others are doing. That's one of the mistakes we also make. I think I had spoken about it during the course of our discussion. Somebody has a Lamborghini. You have a Toyota Corolla. Use your Toyota Corolla. Don't try and go and do Lamborghini. You can't sustain it. And you also don't know what the person's objective is, which is why, I always advise founders, leave social media. All of us were playing a game of attention. Everybody's trying to capture the attention of other people. Do the one that you can. And what I know is that it might take time, but the people that you are called for, they will eventually find you. Personal experience. I didn't think that cavemen will have an audience in Nigeria because their music is unique and is different. I didn't think that my guy Odumodu Black will have an audience in Nigeria at the time. But somehow he has they found him. It's not like he even found them, they found him. And then the series of things that we hear, I think I heard Afro-cultism the other time, a type of music, Afro-depression, and all of those things. And the audiences are always finding the artist. Stay consistent with what you are called to do, and your market will find you, right? And then the next part is no clear strategy. Common mistake. You don't know what you are trying to achieve. You don't have a destination. You don't have what you are measuring. You are just going, posting every day on social media. That's great, posting every day, but that's not what helps you to shape a perception. People will be aware of you, right? They will know that you exist. But is that the main thing? I saw something today. Depth is better than visibility. So it's better for people to be aware of you from the perspective of substance than just being aware of you. There are people like that. We know them, they're loud, they're everywhere, but you don't know what to call them for, right? So those are some of the common mistakes. Let's see how to fix those mistakes. Get clear on your audience and your voice. how, like, your tone. And one of the ways I'll recommend, because it's personal branding, is just extend your natural self. Except if you are trying to create a persona, that is also okay. But remember that that's acting. So at every point in time where you want to act, you have to get in character. That character must be consistent for the desired result to be established. Then develop a content and engagement plan. So now, again, this is the communication part. You want to put yourself out there, have a plan around what you want to put out, to who you want to put it out to, when you want to put it out, and what you expect to get after all of these things has happened. So we're talking now is like your content calendar or your content plan, your target audience, and then your schedule. What time are you going to put it out? And what are the things that you are measuring? What are the objectives? And how are you going to measure the result that you get in tandem with the objectives? And then audit your presence online. I do this thing every time. Almost every 3 months, I go and Google myself, Wisdom Ating, and I see all the things that exist around me, right? And then I ask myself, is this how I want people to see me? And then if it's yes, I just close it back and I keep going. There was a time when somebody did an interview of me and put it online. And the thing on Google indexes some things, and the line that was indexed, the statement on that line was taken out of context. So I did some things to fix it, right? Those things I did to fix it. You can reach out to, don't worry, I'll solve it for you. If you come out, there's somebody on this call that I can tell you to reach out to, and they'll solve the problem for you, right? So when you reach out, but that's the thing. You can't just assume. You just be living, and things are going on online. One day, somebody will just send you one link, and you will not believe what you saw. So anytime, especially in reputation management, you always want to see things before they get bad, or preempt things before they get bad, so that you can manage them. Once it's bad, what you do is damage control. You can't really prevent it. So audit your online presence. Check what is going on. From time to time, reach out to your friends and ask them about, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? And they'll be able to guide you. Invest in a signature look and bio, right? So I spoke about the signature look. Really, if you can, it doesn't take anything. There's somebody that all they do is just wear a beret, a popular gospel singer. They wear a beret, and then you just know that, this is this person. Auntie T.Y. Bello, she wears her big, flowy dresses. Nike Art Gallery, the Auntie Nike, same thing, right? And we know Chris Plum, we know Mr. Funny, we know, what's his name? The guy that, Freaky, So this also helps. It helps with identification. It helps to make you stand out. So how that you see, if you see somebody wear that blue shirt that Mr. Funny wears, you just quickly assume that it's Mr. Funny, right? And that's the power of brand presence or brand equity. It's the position that you hold in the minds of the people, right, that exists. So that would be great. And then your bio should be carefully crafted. It's not something that, don't just be careless. And then depending on what you want to do. So let's say that somebody is a stripper, right? Yes, be intentional about how you craft that message to attract the people that you're trying to attract, right? When you, let's say you are a stripper and you are putting, forgive me, you are putting Jesus baby here to win souls for the lost, it's giving mixed feelings, right? Mixed signals. No, be consistent in your messaging, your personality or persona, in your tone, in everything, in your mission, be consistent. Let everything be interconnected, right? And then keep learning and adapting, right? Make sure you learn. For those of us that came here, it means that you are open to learning. You want to get a thing or two that you'll be able to apply. make sure that that never stops, right? And branding never ends, actually. Branding never ends. Some of us, we still hear about, Michael Jackson, and even after his death, right? It still exists. Branding never ends. Branding is a constant thing. There's a popular pop artist now that, has been in a mess in America for a while, and he was accused for a lot of things, and that messed up his brand, right? Because people used to see him as, one of the foundations of hip hop. And then all of a sudden, there's this new image of him that has been created. I saw yesterday in the news that he's been, like, he's not guilty. They proclaimed him not guilty by the court. I don't know how true that is. But here's the thing, there will be work that needs to be done in redeeming his image. So you see that it's a continuous thing, right? And if he does it well enough, maybe by the time he dies, we'll be left with a perception of him. Whatever that perception is left to him. And he has this amount of time where he's still alive to shape it. That's why even in their demise, the great Nelson Mandela, there's still a perception of him. Some people hold contrary opinions, but the thing is, the general perception of him is like the man that led the emancipation of, South Africa, So that is very important. Now, some action points. Audit your current brand strengths, identify the strengths of your brand, and the gaps. I don't know who want to do that. From everything that you've heard, you've looked at your brand and said, oh, this is what my brand is strong at, but these are some of the gaps that I see. Anybody that wants to share that with us, we can take that in a couple of minutes before we round this up. And then identify 3 key areas that you need to improve within the shortest possible time. Create a 30-day visibility strategy. That one, you may require support. So if there's somebody that needs to do that, feel free to reach out to me. That would be a cover. How do they reach out to me? Say that again. They should reach out to me on social media. Okay, so I'm told that you should reach out to me on social media. Send me a DM if you require support around that. And then commit to one platform for consistency. If you are someone that, consistency is hard. Wow. I'm going to read that comment, Andrew. So if you can't start with all platforms, start with one. Take it from me. At least I've spent almost a decade now in marketing and communication. You don't have to be on all platforms. It will pay you if you can, but you don't have to be on all, right? Because what is required per platform is sort of different, and it's a lot of work, right? So start with what you are comfortable and what you can do, and then find an accountability partner or coach. If the coach partner can't help you, accountability partner, we can pair some people from this group that are interested to hold themselves accountable. I can check in with you from time to time, to help you, ensure that you are making progress. I think now will be time for questions. But somebody said, true story, I signed up for this meeting because of your fashion image. I like the signature on your cap, the color of your kaftan, which is your brand color, and intentional messaging. Thank you so much, Andrew, for that. I really appreciate you. Wow, that's such a I'm really grateful for that. Thank you for that very thoughtful comment. I do my best. I try to practice what I preach, and to the best of my knowledge, God is still helping us. But yeah, everything about how I appear, I try to be very intentional about it, right? So you'd always almost see my brand color on me. Almost. My suits, my pocket fillers, my kaftans, which I wear a lot. I wear a lot of kaftans, So because I always just want you to see me in the way that I want to be seen, right? So yeah, I will now take questions. So if there are any questions, if anybody wants to speak, the floor is open to you. Thank you so much for making our time to be here. Why is everybody whispering? You can talk. Yes. I think we can stop sharing and then we can have everybody. Yeah. So if you have questions, if you are there, you want to leave questions in the comments. Okay. Do we have questions? I would assume that everybody is fine and that we are home and dry here. In the absence of any other question, we'll call it a day. I really appreciate those of you that made our time to be here. We had, okay, somebody has a question. Interesting. Okay, go ahead. Let's let the person able to unmute or the person want whatever.
Hello, good afternoon. Please, sir, can you hear me?
Okay. I can't hear. Maybe I should. Okay. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir. So my question is, if you have like a personal brand that you don't want to be known for, like you have different brands, but you have different brands, but you don't want to be known for a particular brand that you are handling. So you have different businesses. Is that fine?
Okay, so somebody asked this question during the registration. It was part of the questions that I saw somebody ask. So I do multiple things and like, how do I make this work? It starts from the story that you are telling. You should be telling a story about you. Remember that, so let's say you can sing, but you're a caterer that teaches in a school. One is your profession, maybe one is your hobby, and then one is your passion. There's nothing wrong with it. So are you trying to tell me that there are no doctors that are singers? I even think, because I answered this question to someone, I think at a recent event that I was speaking at, that's a differentiation in its own. The fact that, have you met, so there's something that one photographer in Abuja does that I really respect, Big H. So he does worship sessions with people that come to like shoots in his studio and are open to it. Very intimate session. He's always very, intimate with his subjects. But he's still a photographer. He just happens to know how to play the piano and sing. And he tells a story about that. So really, what helps to shape all of this is the story you are telling. What is it directing the audience towards? So I am a child education advocate that works in the health space and is passionate about music. And you can show all of them, right? But everything should come together to make you a person. So for example, me as Wisdom Ating, I'm Wisdom Ating. The companies that I represent, they exist independently. well, or at least I try to make them exist independently. There was a time when people see me and call me Mr. Engage. Some people still call me Mr. Engage, but you see, it got to a point where it feels odd in my ear when somebody calls me Mr. Engage, because me and Wisdom Ating, and then Engage is a company that has other people with it, right? So that is how to manage that. I don't know if that answers the question, but pretty much you are allowed to, exist in multiple folds in one person, but not multiple personalities, right? So you can't, when you are a nurse, if you are a caregiver persona, you are a caregiver persona nurse. If you are a singer, you are a caregiver persona singer. You can't be a rebel in one area, and that is conflicting, right? Follow me on all social media platforms. Ejo, I'm begging you people. So, and I tell your friends to follow me. If you think that you got value, I'm going to try and see if we can put like the replay of this up for people to have access to it.